All right, guys. Today I want to get on here and talk a little bit about genetics and the whole argument around that. The victim card people pull sometime. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can talk about when it's under the umbrella of genetics, but specifically in the context of weight loss. I can't lose X amount of weight because my genetics, or I can't look a certain way because of my genetics. I'm big boned, if you will. We'll go through some of the habits in this video, but it's, to sum a lot of it up, it's like hereditary habits. You're grown up in an environment that you think is normal, and realistically, until you get out of that environment and see the world for how it really is, then you see that that's not quote unquote normal. So yeah, we'll get into some of the habits here, some of the main ones that prevent people from losing weight and prevent them from reaching their goals. And they keep pulling that victim card, and it's a setback because you're giving yourself an excuse as to not strive for a certain goal, or you don't believe something's attainable, you're not going to try for it. 99% of things in life is just showing up, and fitness and weight loss is the small things in and out every single day. So yeah, we'll go through some of the habits. These habits and bad habits we'll go through are learned from your parents, and you think they're normal, and you subconsciously don't even realize it. It just kind of skips your mind, and you live life 4 or 5 years straight, and you kind of wake up to reality, and it's pretty eye-opening. I know something you can probably relate, especially if you're in a family that's, quote unquote, genetically predisposed to obesity. Yeah. And it's still calories in, calories out. You're not going to break the laws of thermodynamics, as we all know. So it's like if you put the work in, you can get there. And some people might have different ghrelin and leptin signaling, but for the most part, we're all human. We all respond to the same. If you eat less, you're going to lose weight. So 90% of it is habitual, things you learn. It's almost like biting your nails as a kid too. You gotta be like, oh, no, don't do that. They had different methods and shit to try and get you not to chew on your nails, and you could special nail polish or like gloves or different things. But it's all reminders as to you're doing a bad thing. So the more aware you are and conscious you are of your habits and bad habits that you have learned, have built up, and think are normal, just the more aware you can be of them, the more you can start to nip them in the butt and try and actually break past those mental barriers, I'll say. And the first learned habit is inconsistent eating, for sure. Whereas, yeah, you get your structured dinner at night, per se, that like mom might make growing up. But the meals around the day, morning, midday, snacks, it's all sporadic. Which leads to kind of a binging behavior. And then you get that one big meal at the end of the day, which can also lead to even an increased appetite. If you starve yourself all day and then have one big meal, you eat a couple bag of chips, easy. So then that, a lot of families have habitual dessert every night too. People think that's normal for some reason. You can work desserts into your diet, yeah, but to have a family that just eats dessert, massive amounts of dessert for dinner every night on top of a massive dinner, yeah, once you kind of get out of that, it's not that normal. So if you're younger and in that, and you're like, I eat strawberry shortcake every night, well, it's not that that's bad, but it's the abundance of food. And I'm sure you live in a family where it's like, you better finish your plate. You gotta finish your vegetables before you get your dessert. It's like, that comes from a scarcity mindset. And back in the day, they really didn't have a lot of food. So it makes sense as to, I'm sure your grandparents are like this too. They don't want to waste anything. You don't want to throw anything out. A bigger, chunkier, fatter looking kid is kind of looked at as wealthier. Back in the day, it's like the poorer you were, the skinnier you were. Nowadays, the cheaper foods, it's funny, yeah, it's completely opposite. Nowadays, the cheap food's designed to make you fat, and the expensive food is the only way you can really stay healthy and attempt to regain your health if you're in the opposite spot. But yeah, so the inconsistent eating or just sporadic eating throughout the day. You know, you're grabbing random meals. What's normal is a structured, call it diet. I guess you can call it a diet year round, but a structured meal plan that fits your lifestyle. You're getting all your protein in. You're getting complex carbohydrates. You're getting all the fats you need. You're getting omega-3s in your diet. It's not just straight omega-6s from McDonald's. It's not like you need to be doing that at age 8, but from a younger age, you should start to be aware of that. And even in a family, that should be the norm, is having structured meals and just seeing protein for what it is, seeing carbs for what it is, seeing fat for what it is. And that alone, that would kind of nip the genetics in the butt. Because by the age of 18, you pretty much understand the ins and outs of nutrition, how it works for you going forward in your lifestyle. And, you know, the chaotic years in our lives too are high school, right after high school, into college, maybe a little bit after college. It's like you're trying to find yourself, find your career, find what you want to do, where you want to be. And then on top of that, now you're having to relearn all these bad habits that you learned at home. You know, overeating and sporadic eating. All that's ingrained in your mind too, you know, to a point, but it's hard to rework those habits, especially when you're going through all those things in your life. The second habit I'll go over is random training, I think, for sure. It's like most families and growing up, most people are aware that exercise is what it is. You need to kind of get it in on a weekly basis. Well, it's random. It's a hike if you have time on the weekends. There's no set plan and set structure of walk after school, exercise after school. Maybe you play baseball and you're a one-season sport, so okay, cool. 6 months out of the year you're getting exercise, but what are you doing the other 6? That's a big one for sure. A lot of mountain biking and a lot of skateboarding and that kind of exercise, but it's sporadic. If it were every day, like back in the day, they didn't have iPads, iPhones, Fortnite, everybody was out in the street playing. Yeah, I'm sure it was a different story. You probably didn't even want to be in the house. Back then, it was a much different story. And is it genetic? No, I don't think so. I think it's society kind of changing that aspect of our life over time to a point we don't even realize it. So there's no structured exercise in our day-to-day life. We're just going with the flow, if you will. And the body will respond to your habits and what you do on a day-to-day basis. So if you're exercising once a week and the other 6 days you're completely off the rails, well, the body's got a 90% signal to gain weight and a 10% signal to lose weight, if you look at it like that. So structured exercises at a younger age definitely can fall into that category. Once you move out of the house and there's no structured exercise, now you got to relearn that habit, or not relearn it, completely learn it. Structured cardio regimen, structured workout plan, structured Pilates, whatever you want to do. You just have no sense for yourself and the integration into your lifestyle with exercise and how to do it for yourself. Even at a baseline, and now you're moving out, maybe you're in college or you get your own job. So it's easy to just be like, it's genetics. It's like, I can't do X, Y, I'm big boned. And it's hard to unlearn habits for sure, especially a decade, 12, 14, 15, 16 years of your life, you've been doing the same thing. And you're just now starting to realize that it's probably not the best thing. And maybe it's not genetics. Maybe it's just how I've been living and everyone around me has been living. definitely not an easy thing to go through at all. The third habit I'll go over is kind of falls in lines of exercise, but low daily activity. Just not being aware of your daily steps and the job you have, the daily energy expenditure. And most people, I wouldn't say most, but a majority of people work a desk job, and they might track their steps on a watch or something, but you get 2 to 3, 4,000 steps a day. Your workout, right? Like you have no idea where your steps are at, where your activity's at, where your energy expenditure is at. You really have no idea where to put your calories at, or where to put your cardio at, your workout intensity at, how many carbohydrates around the workout window, how much glycogen do we need inside the muscle cell pre and post workout. I mean, it's all determined on the day-to-day activity levels. I mean, what's the word? Your NEAT, something like the calories you burn at rest. It's much higher for a guy that's working 5-6 days a week as an iron worker and lifting beams and he's in the sun 8-10 hours a day than a guy that's a software tech and sits at a desk 8 to 10 hours a day. Those are much different training schedules and diets. You really have to have an understanding of where you're at in your lifestyle on an energy expenditure conversation and then go from there and treat it as if everything moving forward now is personalized for me. It doesn't matter what Jimmy was doing or what Aunt Jenny is doing. The genetics don't apply to you anymore, and kind of think of it like that. Try and move forward with an understanding of where you're at and a new plan moving forward. Just completely wipe everything you've known and believed in the past. This is the best way to do it. There's a lot of Jenny Craig Weight Watchers and stuff like that that's ingrained into a lot of people I talk to still on a daily basis. The amount of conversations and analogies you have to use to rework those beliefs and change that belief system that's ingrained in them for 2-3 decades is it's almost not worth it. So I'll say just completely wipe everything you believe. You have no idea. All you know is calories in, calories out, and you're moving forward. So see where you're at, how many calories you're burning on a day-to-day basis, and then build your plan on that. And based on your goals, obviously it's different if you want to put 20 pounds of muscle on. So I mean, those are the main three. There's a lot that falls under the umbrella of overeating or sporadic training, not knowing where your daily step count is, and all those different things. But I will say it's 100% genetic in the sense you learn the habits from your parents or the family that you grew up around. Your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, your caretaker, whatever. I mean, maybe that will ring a bell for some people. You look back on your earlier years and you're like, oh yeah, maybe we did eat a lot of Ben and Jerry's and maybe we did go off the rails a lot, and maybe structure-wise exercise really wasn't the best thing. Maybe it's not what I would do for my family, or maybe I would change X, Y, and Z based on the spot you were put in as a child, that you blame on your genetics, but really it's just habits that you've learned and continue to think are normal. That's I think where I'll leave it at there. And it sums it all up for the most part. Can go in depth on a lot more. But yeah, for the most part, it's look at what your parents were doing and kind of look at the family structure you grew up in and see, okay, is that an environment for somebody to have the physique goals that I have? Is that conducive to somebody that wants to be in shape, be healthy for the rest of their life? Is that, we all learn, especially at a young age, eventually everybody's talking around you Is everybody speaking Spanish? You know, eventually at 1, 2 years old, you're going to start speaking Spanish or English or French or whatever. So we're creatures of learned habit, you know, and that's a habit of people around you speaking English. Obviously, you're going to speak English. If everyone around you has a little bit of a British accent, but still English, obviously you're going to slowly start to pick up that accent. So that's another good analogy, I guess. It's like, especially when you're not the authority in the room either. You're not the authority in the room. It's hard for you to be a different sports fan than your parents or have a different standpoint on politics until you reach a certain age, obviously. But we all learn from what our parents were doing, so we think that's the right thing to do. You know? And it's like mom and dad are God, so yeah, I think people just grow up, go through high school, go through college, and don't even realize it, and think they just have a binge eating problem. it's a lot deeper than that. So if you can really rework everything and untie it all personally for yourself, sure, that might not be fun if you get to scroll past some trauma that you've been packed away for a long time. But if you can unravel it all and really figure out the root cause of the habits that are causing you the pain and suffering and the health problems potentially of the weight you're carrying, then yeah, you definitely want to look into it and figure out a plan for yourself moving forward and what habits you actually need to conquer. Because I mean, the three that I went over could be, there could be hundreds, but they all do fall under the umbrella of, you know, that idea of just learning, seeing what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is getting dessert after dinner, what everybody else is getting 2 servings, what everybody else is, see, we all want to fit in, but if you have different goals and you want to live a different life than the people around you, then you can't do what they do and expect to get a different result than they do. Not to say you have to move away from them or hate them or anything, but just realize that it's like you can't take advice from anybody that's not living a life that you don't want to live. And if you want to be you want to be worth $200 million, you're probably not going to take financial advice from the plumber that's scraping by for $80K a year. Actually, plumbers do pretty good. That was bad. That was a bad analogy, but you get what I'm saying. You're not going to take money advice from a poor person, especially if you want to be rich, or career advice from somebody that's homeless, right? So again, don't take everybody's advice with a grain of salt unless they're living proof of the result that you want. I think that's pretty well said. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'll have my Instagram in the description below, so feel free to DM me on there. You can DM me the word system and I'll send you a framework of the entire system I use to layer in different habits and help people kind of conquer their bad habits that they've learned over the 2-3 decades. I know it's pretty raw and it's not a strict CTA. You know, comment the word this and I'll send you this. But yeah, you guys get the idea. Yeah, reach out on Instagram. I always answer questions. And again, hope this helps. Hope this rings a bell for somebody who realizes that, maybe it is my habits. Maybe it's not my genetics. And if you're still in the position where you're like, you know, I still got this genetic, it's like, so what? What if, you know? What if you're the one in the family picture that doesn't look like you belong? You know, why not give it a try? So, yeah, with that, hope you guys have a good morning, evening, night, whenever you're watching this, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.